Hello my friends, welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, hi, welcome. I hope you enjoy your stay. We like having a good time here, and I think we mostly do, except when I'm crying and screaming and spiraling. But apart from that, it's all good here. So happy to have you here. Today we're going to be doing a very exciting video because we're going to be looking back on the past 6 months of 2022. In today's video, we're going to be looking at some reading stats, how many books I've read so far in the year, my average rating, the types of books that I've been reading, how I've been feeling basically, and we're also going to be answering some questions that are from the mid-year book freakout tag. I feel like I've had a pretty good reading year so far, but I have read a few one-star books. I've had a few DNFs here and there. So I'm terrified to see just how well I've actually been doing in 2022. Before we get into all of the gory details of my beautiful reading year, I did want to take a second to thank the sponsor of this week's video, which is GlassesUSA.com. By cutting out the middleman, GlassesUSA.com offers over 9,000 pairs of glasses and sunglasses, including in-house brands as well as designer brands like Gucci, Prada, and many more, at up to 70% off retail prices. They also offer a risk-free shopping experience with free shipping and returns and 100% money-back guarantee within 14 days of your purchase. I love working with GlassesUSA.com because they make the shopping experience so easy and stress-free. They even have an online quiz that helps you find the perfect pair of glasses based on your needs and your face shape. They also have a virtual try-on tool where you can upload a picture of yourself and preview different lenses on you to see how they would look, which helps me feel a lot more confident when I'm buying glasses online because I don't have to wonder what they would look like when they finally arrive. I already know how they're going to look. GlassesUSA.com also offers a collection of advanced blue light blocking lenses, which are perfect for me because I spend so much time staring at computer screens and I want to protect my eyes, and I feel like these glasses are just perfect for it. The glasses that I'm currently wearing are called the Amelia E. Bridget, and I love these so much. I'm honestly obsessed, Your Honor. These are a great fit and they are so comfortable. I barely feel them on my face. I also got these, which are the Muse Francesca, and these are pretty iconic, pretty classic. They're also so comfortable and I feel like they look so good on my face. It makes me look like the sexy librarian. Hi, hello, like kids are going to be lining up around the block trying to rent out some books. And then these, hi, hello, excuse me, an icon is coming through. These are the Amelia E. Hepburn, and these are just, do I even need to say anything about these? These are beautiful. These are stunning. I'm just so happy with my glasses and sunglasses. Make sure you check out the link in my description to get 65% off your first pair of glasses from GlassesUSA.com. Thank you so much to GlassesUSA.com for sponsoring this video and also helping me look this good. Hi, hello, like everybody say thank you, GlassesUSA.com. The first thing we need to talk about is how many books I've read this year so far, and don't ask me how I did it. I have no idea. When I saw this number, I just honestly could not believe it. I have read a total of 92 books so far this year, 2022. 6 months to go, I've read 92 books. 8 more books and I would have reached the 3-digit number. I won't even say that number. It's just preposterous to think that I'm 8 books away from 100 books. Excuse me? When I first started the year, I set my reading goal on Goodreads to 90 books, and the fact that we're halfway through the year and I've already surpassed my goal by 2 books. Sorry, I'm kind of legendary. Who's doing it like me? Absolutely no one. And if you are, don't tell me, let me just live in my fantasy. Yes, the number is great, but also I'm more happy because of the fact that I've found so many new favorite books. The number doesn't really matter. I'm more interested in the quality of the books that I've been reading, and I feel like this year I've really found the things that I love and the things that I like, and because of that, I've been reading more books that are attuned to my interests, which means that I feel like my rating average is going to be pretty high as well. I do feel like I have a couple of 1-star books in my year, unfortunately. I am using both Goodreads and Storygraph because I feel like they give me different data, they give me different stats, and I feel like it would be interesting to see both of them. So on Storygraph, I've read 31,835 pages. I love that number. I feel like it has a lot of 3s. It has a lot of prime numbers as well. And I don't know why, but prime numbers just tickle my brain in the best way possible. So if we see here my moods, my most read mood is adventurous. We also have dark. I actually wasn't expecting that, but hey, it makes sense. It kind of makes sense. And then we have emotional. I do love me some emotional books. Reflective, mysterious, tense. Okay. As we can see, we don't read for happiness in this channel, apparently. Oh, okay, we've got some lighthearted. That's always good. We've got some funny books. And my least read mood is informative, which makes sense because I'm not a nonfiction girly. The few times that I've touched that genre, I have had the worst time in my life. It's so boring to me. Maybe I just haven't picked the right nonfiction books, but every single time that I've picked up a nonfiction book, I want to shove my face into the oven. I want to punch a wall. In terms of pace, I mostly read medium-paced books. That makes sense. I have trouble with slow-paced books. You have to be in a certain type of mood to enjoy those types of books, and I'm never in that type of mood. So yeah. Page number, I mostly read, actually it's pretty evened out between less than 300 pages and between 300 pages and 499. And only 14% of the books that I've read this year are above 500 pages. There's one book in particular that I'm thinking about that is way above 500 pages. So I'm excited to talk about that book. I feel like I haven't mentioned it a lot in this channel, so stay tuned for that. If you know what book I'm talking about that's over 1,000 pages, leave it down below. If you know, you know. Fiction, nonfiction, 93% of the books that I've read this year are fiction because nonfiction and we are not besties. We do not run in the same circles. In terms of genres, I'm really confused by this because, like, as you can see, fantasy takes the cake. It went above and beyond. And I feel like where I am right now, I don't think fantasy and I have really been connecting. I don't remember the last time that I read a fantasy book that I loved, but I have been reading a lot of literary fiction and just contemporary books. So the fact that fantasy is like my most read genre this year, I am very confused by that. My least read genre is essays, graphic novels, memoirs, self-help. Yeah, I'm not a self-help girly. I don't like asking for help. I'd rather just drown. My most read authors are manga authors. We've got Gege Akutami, which is the Jujutsu Kaisen author. We got Koyoharu Gotuge, which is Demon Slayer. We've got Uncle Rick, and that does make sense because I have been rereading a lot of his books lately. And Junji Ito. Hi, Junji Ito. Fancy meeting you here. I love your work. Right. So, if we see in terms of month, April, I went absolutely ham. I read 24 books in the month of April, which is 8,408 pages. But then in May, which was last month, that's when my reading slump started. So that explains why there's such a big dip between April and May. I would not recommend reading 24 books in a month because you're going to get into a really ugly reading slump and you will not know how to get out of it, but eventually you will. It just won't be a good time. And my average rating is 4.05 stars. Hi. I feel like that's great. I feel like that's a good time. So if we go to Goodreads now, my shortest book is 84 pages and it is Letters to a Young Poet, one of my absolute new favorite books of all time. Yeah, I love that book so much. My longest book. I feel like I don't talk about this book a lot because I don't really like to boast about it. I don't really like to, shove it in people's faces, but The longest book that I've read this year was 1,408 pages long, and it is War and Peace by Leo Tolstoy. This might come as a surprise to a lot of people, but I have read War and Peace. It's probably the greatest accomplishment of my life, at least in 2022. And yeah, so that's my longest book of the year so far. Who knows, maybe I'll read a longer book than War and Peace. I doubt it, but hey. The most popular book that I've read is Normal People, which, hey, is actually a good segue into the first question of the mid-year book freakout tag, because the first question is the best book that you've read in 2022. And hey, fancy that. The fact that this is the most popular book that I've shelved on Goodreads this year is also my new all-time favorite. This is one of the best books that I've read this year. I have read quite a lot of other amazing, show-stopping, brilliant books. We also have The Starless Sea to talk about. 2022 has definitely introduced me to so many wonderful books that have become all-time favorites. They've restructured my brain chemistry. They've rewired my nervous system. I feel like they are a part of me as much as I am a part of them. And these two books are definitely up there with the best books that I've read this year. If you haven't seen the vlog where I absolutely lost it when I read Normal People, I would definitely recommend it. I love that vlog. I read it for reading like books with Chloe. And then also The Starless Sea. Brilliant book. I did cry, but it was more like tears of joy and tears of just feeling understood. I feel like this book just hugged me and has never let me go, and I just loved it. Back to my Goodreads stats. The least popular book that I've shelved this year is Fullmetal Alchemist Volume 16. And honestly, I feel like that's a crime. How dare this be the least popular one? I feel like there's something wrong with society. I feel like this is a blatant call out to the lack of taste that other people have. I can't believe this is the least popular. That's disappointing. The highest rated on Goodreads is Jujutsu Kaisen Volume 14. Thank you, Goodreads, for giving me such good segues into the mid-year book freakout tag. Jujutsu Kaisen Volume 14. Hi. This might probably be my favorite cover of 2022. This is also one of the most beautiful books that I've received or that I've bought in 2022 because I am a color girly. First and foremost, color is my love language. The usage of the pinks and the purples and then the blue and the contrast, and also the fact that it has one of my favorite characters of the Jujutsu Kaisen franchise, Sukuna. I could talk about this cover for years and years and centuries and never get tired of it. And the story inside as well is pretty amazing. It does have my favorite characters. It does have... Why did I open it up to this scene? Why do I have to relive this? Sorry. It is a beautiful book. It's also devastating. But anyways, we move on. Those were all the stats on Goodreads, so now we can officially move on to the mid-year book freakout tag. The first question I've already answered, which is what is the best book you've read in 2022? The second question is what is the best sequel that you've read in 2022? And even though this was a reread, I was just looking at my shelves and none of the sequels that I've read hit as hard and as good as this one, and it is The Raven King by Nora Sakavic. This is the sequel to The Foxhole Court, second book in the trilogy. Look at this cover. This is the original. Look at that. Look at that. It does have, you know, its appeal. It's kind of like, you know, I guess, but nothing beats these reimagined covers that I went out of my way to get because I love these books so much, and I love the second book so much, especially not only because of the cover and the fact that two of my favorite characters are on the cover back to back, but also the story itself, brilliant. The way that Nora Sakavic wrote about these characters and the journey that they take and the things that happen as well. I could literally do a whole video series on why The Foxhole Court is so good, and I feel like I still would have so many things to say about it because there's just so much to talk about. So yeah, this is the best sequel that I've read this year. Hi, everybody say thank you, Foxhole Court. Thank you, Nora Sakavic. New release you want to read. For this one, I have two because I'm really It's really hard for me to choose only one book because there are so many amazing new releases that I want to get to. This one came out in February and I still haven't picked it up, but I really want to, and that is Cleopatra and Frankenstein by Coco Malors. This is an irresistible, unputdownable page-turner of a novel. Astounding and painfully relatable debut novel about the spontaneous decisions that shape our entire lives and those imperfect relationships born of unexpectedly perfect evenings. Yeah. And then the other new release that I want to get to is An Arrow to the Moon, written by Emily X.R. Pan. First of all, look at this cover. Second of all, this is a reimagined Romeo and Juliet mixed in with Chinese mythology. Doesn't that just tickle your brain in the best way possible? These are the two new releases that I want to get to soon, hopefully before the year ends, definitely before the year ends, if I don't die. I have my trusty BT21 notebook with me, and I've written some books that are still to be released in 2022 that I am very, very excited to get to. And I'll just name them because I feel like I've talked about them before, and you guys also probably have heard about them from countless other booktubers. So here we go. We've got Babel, Long Live the Pumpkin Queen, Carrie Soto is back. The American Roommate Experiment by Elena Armas, por Dios, por favor. Like, please, if I could get an arc of this book, I could die happy. After I read it, obviously, like, I wouldn't just get it and then just die. I would get it, read, and then die peacefully. Another book that's going to be released in 2022, and I am so excited to read, is the new Junji Ito release that's called The Liminal Zone. Look at this cover. Look at the colors. Again, I'm a color girly. What can I do? Look at it and tell me it doesn't look amazing. Tell me it doesn't look traumatizing. Tell me it doesn't look like a product of your worst nightmares, and doesn't that make you so excited? I am so excited for so many books, but those are probably the ones that I am most excited to get to. The next question is biggest disappointment of 2022. I feel like a lot of you are expecting me to say by Mary H.K. Choi, and you would be correct. Yes, this is one of the most disappointing books I've read in 2022, just because I had so many expectations that were further heightened by the fact that this is such a stunning book. The design of the cover and also like the end papers and just everything about it, stunning, beautiful. It makes you feel like this book is going to just rock your world in the best way possible. And it didn't. It just made me want to die, but not like in a fun way. It just made me kind of want to end it all. You never really want to read a book that makes you want to become illiterate, but this book definitely did. It certainly made me wish I never learned how to read. So yeah, that's probably my biggest disappointment of 2022. But then I read A Court of Silver Flames by Sarah J. Maas, and this is definitely the most disappointing book because, hey, I love A Court of Mist and Fury. I kind of wish it were a standalone book because every single book before and after can't even hold a candle to A Court of Mist and Fury and what she did for our generation, what she did for women. Yeah, nothing can come even close to the quality of the story and the writing and the characters in A Court of Mist and Fury. So I feel like I was very stupid. I was very silly to go into this book thinking I would get anything close to A Court of Mist and Fury. And my stupidity was enhanced because of other people telling me that this book is just as good and maybe even better than A Court of Mist and Fury. So I went into this book being like, oh my god, better than A Court of Mist and Fury? Impossible, but I'm so excited. Yeah, this put me in a reading slump because it was boring, it was bland, it was annoying, idiotic. I hated the main character. I kind of still do. The only silver lining of this book is Cassian, but I felt so bad for him throughout the entirety of this book because Sarah J. Maas paired him with such a horrible human being. So it was hard to enjoy his scenes when he was just pining and suffering over someone who doesn't appreciate him. You know what I mean? And I'm just gonna not talk about this book ever again in my life because it made me wish I had never discovered Sarah J. Maas. You know what I mean? It's that kind of book. It was that bad for me. I think I need a second to kind of reel it back in. I feel like I got carried away a little bit. I swear I'm fine. I swear I'm over it. Let's move on. Let's move on. Let's move on. My biggest surprise of 2022 definitely has to be The Stationery Shop, written by Marjan Kamali. This is a historical fiction, and I, for so long, have thought that historical fiction and I were not good for each other. I never have a good time reading historical fiction just because I always feel like it's really hard for me to get into the story because it's often so weighed down by historical events, which, you know, it's great, but I don't know. I've never really clicked with a historical fiction book. So when I heard that this was historical fiction, I was like, oh, okay, we're gonna have a hard time. This is going to be a little slow for me to read. I'm not really going to connect with the characters. And then I cried my heart out. What surprised me the most is the intensity of the emotions that this book made me feel. This book was like, oh, you think you know heartbreak? Nah, sis, let me teach you what real heartbreak feels like. Yeah, this was devastating, but beautiful, and probably one of the most beautiful books I've read, but probably also one of the most devastating ones. New favorite author, I have two because I just couldn't settle on one. We have Miss Sally Rooney. Hi, hello. I will be honest, I've only read one book of Sally Rooney, so it's kind of comical. It's kind of like, is this a joke for me to add Sally Rooney to my list of favorite authors, having only read one book? But honestly, with Sally Rooney, I feel like it only takes one book to know if you're going to love her. After reading Normal People and the effect that that book had on me, it's impossible to not think of Sally Rooney as my new favorite author. My other new favorite author that I discovered this year, Miss Mariana Zapata. Mariana Zapata is best known for her slow burn romances. Most of her books are like 500 pages and more, and I feel like still that is not enough. I would eat up every single page that she writes. I've read 3 books of hers, and I am planning on reading every single one that she releases, but my favorite of the 3 has definitely been From Look Up With Love. There's just something about it. It's also my first Mariana Zapata book, so I feel like it's such a special book for me. And every time that I think of From Look Up With Love, my heart, my whole body just glows with happiness. And for a book to make you feel that happy, I feel like the least you could do is name that author your favorite. So there we go, Mariana Zapata and Sally Rooney, my 2 new favorite authors. For the book that made me cry, I don't want to be redundant. I have talked about these books because they do answer other questions in this tag, but basically I've cried over The Stationery Shop, and I've also cried over Normal People. I have cried over other books, but you know, not to the level of these 2. So these are definitely tearjerkers. Would recommend if you're looking to dehydrate. For books that made me happy, I do have my fair share of books that made me happy, but recently a book that made me rediscover what real happiness feels like is Book Lovers by Emily Henry. Sorry, I cannot lie. This book had me smiling the whole way through. Even when I was suffering, I feel like I was glad about that pain because it made the happy moments that much more worth it because we went through so much to get to that point. So Book Lovers by Emily Henry, it's happiness bottled in a book. What can I say? Most beautiful book that I've bought or received this year, I have received quite a lot of beautiful books, and I've also bought some myself, but one that I want to highlight because it's the only question that lets me talk about this book, and I love this book so much. So yeah, I need to showcase this beautiful edition of The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. This edition I recently received from a friend of mine, a premium simper. Of course, premium simpers know what's up. I recently received this cover, this edition, and it's so beautiful. It's like, look at the copper details, look at the forget-me-nots, look at the author's name, look at the end papers, look at it underneath. Ay, Dios mío, por favor. Sometimes I love something so much that English just doesn't begin to cover how much I love something, so I need to switch to Spanish. So whenever you hear me exclaim in Spanish, you know it's real. You know the love is overwhelming. What are some books that I want to read before the year ends? I want to read the rest of the books of Sally Rooney. So Conversations with Friends and Beautiful World, Where Are You? I own both of them. I feel like you cannot see them, but they're literally right there. And I want to get to them as soon as I can, but I don't know if I want to do like a special video for it where I read Sally Rooney's books, or if I should just read it and not do a big thing about it. I'm still debating on that. So that's why I haven't picked them up. But apart from Sally Rooney's books, I also want to get to the rest of Jane Austen's works. I've read quite a few already, but I am missing Sense and Sensibility and Emma. I don't know if I'm missing any other. I think those are the only two that I'm missing of Jane Austen. So I really want to finish reading all of Jane Austen's works. I feel like that would be a whole moment, and I have enjoyed the majority of her books, especially Pride and Prejudice and Persuasion, two of my favorite books. Hi, thank you. I mean, two of my favorite classic books, because I feel like that's just it's different from like my normal favorite books. I feel like classic favorite books are different. Sorry, it makes sense in my mind. I don't know if it actually makes sense, but there we go. That was the mid-year book freakout tag. I honestly cannot believe we're halfway through the year already. It doesn't feel real. Time is not real. I hope you guys enjoyed looking back on my reading year with me, as well as looking at some reading stats. Let me know how your reading year is going. What's been your favorite book so far? What's been your least favorite book? What books are you excited to get to for the rest of the year? How's your TBR looking? Basically, tell me everything in the comments. If you ask me what my happy place is, it's basically my comment section. I love talking to you guys, and I love discussing books and animes and K-dramas with you. Literally just sharing the things that make us happy, and also how we're doing, just checking up on each other. I love doing that. So if you want to let me know how your reading year is going, let me know down below in the comments. I hope you guys enjoyed, and if you did, please leave a like and subscribe so you never miss an upload from me. You can also follow me on my Instagram, where I share probably more than I should. And you can also find out about the books and animes and TV shows that I'm currently watching on my Instagram. Once again, I hope you guys enjoyed. I love you all so very much. I hope you're having a wonderful day when you're seeing this, and I'll see you next time. Bye.
Hey Jimmy, you nice, keep going.